There comes a moment when something clicks, not because you finally found the right affirmation, not because the technique magically worked this time, and not because your specific person finally texted back. It clicks because you get tired, but not the kind of tired you complain about. This one is quieter. It's sacred. It's the exhaustion of carrying a version of yourself that was never really you. All this time, you've been trying to change your life, but what you were really doing, unknowingly, was dragging the old you into the new story. The same identity, same beliefs, same emotional posture. You were speaking new words with the same wounded tongue, trying to manifest love while still feeling unchosen, trying to create abundance while still identifying as the one who never gets picked, who's always behind. And now you're here, on the edge of something holy. Because the truth is this, you were never broken. You were just wearing the wrong skin. In Neville Goddard's teachings, the old man is not just a poetic phrase. It is the worn-out identity that has been running the show behind the scenes, the assumptions, the internal stories, the emotional reflexes that have been rehearsed for years. The old man is not just a way of thinking. It is an entire state of being, one that was accepted, often unconsciously, long before there was ever a desire to change. It is the voice that says, "I'm not wanted," even when love is knocking at the door. It is the reaction that braces for abandonment even when someone leans in. It's the identity that expects money to run out, not because it's true, but because the nervous system has memorized scarcity as home. This old man shows up in the most subtle ways, when one double-checks their worth in someone else's validation, when silence from a person triggers a spiral of doubt, when small progress is dismissed because the mind still identifies as someone who never fully gets what they want. But here's the overlooked truth Neville made so clear. You do not have to heal the old man. You do not have to fix it. You do not have to spend the next 10 years trying to soothe every childhood wound or decode every emotional trigger. You simply have to drop it. Let go of the identity that never belonged to you in the first place. That version of you, the one who believed they weren't chosen, who believed they had to earn love, who thought wealth was for others, not them, that version was built on old assumptions. It was never who you truly were. And once you realize that, once you feel that in your bones, something radical happens. You stop defending your limitations. You stop rehearsing the story of why it hasn't worked. And instead, you begin to occupy a new self, not perfectly, but powerfully. No matter how vivid the visualizations, no matter how frequent the affirmations, nothing truly changes until the identity changes. You can't experience the reality of being loved while still thinking like someone who's always left. You can't walk in abundance while still assuming things will fall apart. The law operates from states, not effort. You are always manifesting, not what you want, but what you are. What you assume to be true of yourself is what the world must reflect. And if the assumption is still rooted in being unwanted, unlucky, overlooked, or powerless, then no matter how beautiful the desire, it cannot bloom in the soil of that old self. This isn't a punishment. It's precision. It's law. The old man clings in subtle ways. In the way one talks to themselves in the mirror, cutting themselves down, even just a little. In the way silence from someone is interpreted as rejection, not peace. In the way a small financial hiccup is seen as a sign that things are going wrong instead of unfolding. That's the old man. It's the inner identity that hasn't caught up to the new vision. And until that identity is dropped, no amount of doing will move the needle. Because creation flows from being. The identity creates the experience. And the longer one carries the identity of the one who waits, the one who doubts, the one who tries to manifest instead of knows, the more reality will echo that version back. Not to hurt, but to wake up. So if things still look the same on the outside, it's not because nothing's working. It's because the one experiencing it hasn't changed. They're still looking at life through the eyes of who they used to be. This is the turning point. Most get stuck in the loop of endless healing. The idea that if every wound is unpacked, every trauma is processed, every affirmation is repeated enough times, then finally life will click. But Neville taught something that can feel almost offensive to the ego. You don't have to fix the old man. You just have to stop being it. Healing has its place, but it is not a prerequisite to receiving. You do not need to become worthy. You already are. You don't need to earn love, prove your value, or master your triggers. You just need to stop identifying with the version of you who thought that was ever required. Imagine standing in front of a door labeled New Life. Everything you've wanted is on the other side. But the door only opens when you arrive as the one who already belongs there. Not the one trying to get in. Not the one hoping to be good enough. The one who knows, this is mine. And the only thing stopping you from walking through isn't the universe, or time, or some karmic lesson. It's that you're still dressed in the clothes of the old self. Still rehearsing the pain. Still proving you're ready. Still clinging to a version of you who was never real. The old man was built in response to a reality that was itself a reflection of old belief. It is the loop itself. And the only way to step out of it is to stop being it, even if the world hasn't caught up yet. You don't wait for the 3D to confirm your shift. You become the shift. And the 3D follows, not out of force, but out of law. Let this sink in. Reality is not doing this to you. It is doing it through you. The pattern is not punishment. It is reflection. And that reflection is built not from effort, but identity. That's why you can work hard, obsess over techniques, try to stay high vibe, and still find yourself staring at the same bank account, same relationship tension, same emotional cycles. Because the one doing all of that is still the old man, still holding the old assumption, still vibrating in a state of waiting, not having. And nothing shifts until that's dropped, not fixed, dropped. This doesn't require perfection. It doesn't mean never doubting again or always feeling high vibe. It means choosing, again and again, to return to the version of yourself who knows, who chooses instead of chases, who assumes instead of begs, who trusts the law, not the senses. And it's uncomfortable at first, because the body remembers the old identity like muscle memory. Doubt feels familiar, waiting feels safe, but familiarity is not truth. It's just repetition. And what's been repeated can be replaced, not with struggle, but with surrender. When you decide, I'm done being this version, life begins to mirror the decision. The mirror doesn't change until you do. And here's the wild part, it doesn't take time. It takes identity. One instant of pure assumption, this is who I am now, can collapse what years of effort couldn't move. Because now, the inner is no longer echoing the old. It's creating the new. And the echo must respond. This is the death that no one talks about, but is absolutely necessary for rebirth. The death of the version of you who always doubted, waited, questioned, begged, tried to earn. That version doesn't need to be healed. It needs to be let go. Like a costume you've outgrown. Like an actor stepping off the stage. It served a role. It kept you safe. But it's not you. And the longer you try to drag that self into a new life, the heavier the journey becomes. You don't bring the old you into the new. You become new. You let the old crumble without trying to rescue it. And in doing so, you rise, not as a better version, but as the real version. The one who never needed fixing to begin with. So stop trying to be chosen. Be the version who is. Stop asking if it's working. Be the version who knows. Stop waiting to be ready. You already are. Drop the old man. Let it die. The loops will dissolve. The mirror will shift. And what you've been trying to manifest will finally feel effortless, because you'll be experiencing it not as something you're reaching for, but something you're being. And being always precedes having. Now the question becomes, what happens when you fully stop being the old you? What happens when you never pick up that version again? That's when something powerful begins to unfold. That's when the bridge of incidents, the unseen path that leads you straight to your desire, starts showing up. Once the old identity is dropped, even if just for a moment, you'll notice something strange begin to happen. Not instantly in the form of a flashy miracle, not always in a way that makes immediate sense, but in subtle shifts, invisible threads being woven in silence. This is what Neville called the bridge of incidents. It is not magic in the sense of fireworks. It's magic in the sense that the universe rearranges itself to reflect your new assumption. Not because you forced it, but because you became it. You shifted internally, and now everything else must comply. That's law. The bridge of incidents is the chain of events that unfold between who you were and who you have decided to be. And here's what most people miss. You don't get to choose how the bridge looks. You don't get to control who leaves or enters, what breaks down or what suddenly appears. You only choose the destination, the state, the assumption. And once that's locked in, once you feel yourself being the new version, life begins moving. Things start rearranging. And sometimes it feels uncomfortable, because the old life must dissolve to make room for the new. It's like a hallway between realities, and the moment you walk into it, things shift. Not always in ways that feel exciting at first. Sometimes they feel like loss. Sometimes things fall apart. But they're not falling apart. They're falling into place. The bridge of incidents can show up as a sudden conversation, a seemingly random decision, a detour you didn't plan. You might be rejected from one path only to be redirected to something beyond imagination. You might lose a job because the one who earns 6 figures wouldn't have tolerated that environment anyway. You might get ghosted by someone because the version of you who is deeply loved doesn't entertain breadcrumbs. The bridge isn't about comfort, it's about congruence. It aligns reality with your new self. So if something or someone doesn't match, it must exit. And that's not punishment. That's grace. Most people panic when the bridge begins. They assume something's gone wrong. They revert back. They say, I thought I was manifesting a new job. Why did I get fired? Or, I felt so powerful yesterday. Why is my bank account empty today? What they don't realize is, they're on the bridge. The new reality is already in motion. The shift is underway. But the mind, still loyal to the old man, tries to interpret the transition as chaos. It isn't. It's precision. It's movement. Neville emphasized this. Once you assume a state, it hardens into fact. But between the assumption and the physical fact lies this divine intelligence, the unfolding, the bridge, the how, the details, and it is not your job to figure that out. Your only role is to remain faithful to your new self, to walk like it's done, to think like it's done, to stop checking if it's working. Because every time you doubt, you're stepping back onto the old bridge, the one you've already walked 1,000 times. But when you hold the new state, even if nothing around you confirms it, reality must adjust. It has no choice. Here's the key: the bridge will always feel natural. You might not even recognize it as part of the manifestation, because the law works through natural means. Don't expect thunder, expect alignment. A phone call that shifts everything. A cancellation that leads to a better connection. A gut instinct that pulls you to a place where everything changes. The bridge is always unfolding behind the scenes, like clockwork, the moment you assume it is done. It doesn't require belief. It only requires that you stop being the version of you who doesn't have it. Imagine this: you assume you're in a loving, stable relationship. Truly assume it, not as a wish, but as a fact. Then a person you've been clinging to suddenly disappears. It feels devastating. But on the bridge, it's not devastation. It's redirection. That person couldn't meet the new you. That version of you who was once desperate to be chosen, gone. So the one who only felt safe in your insecurity had to leave. And on the other side of that space, someone else begins to show up, not because you chased them, but because you became someone who no longer tolerates the old dynamic. The bridge delivered them, seamlessly, because you didn't chase. You didn't wait. You became. This is how life unfolds when you no longer resist the bridge. When you stop micromanaging. When you stop needing to know how. The bridge becomes a dance, mysterious, sacred, unexplainable. And if you can just hold the new state without falling back into doubt, without checking every 5 minutes, without needing proof, you'll see how reality was never against you. It was always waiting on you to lead. The bridge is your ally. The bridge is your mirror. And once you drop the old man, the bridge will not only carry you, it will transform you. Every step, every twist, every so-called delay is evidence that you've entered a new timeline, a new identity, a new world, one that was never outside of you. It was always waiting inside, for you to become the one who stops waiting and starts being. So don't panic when the bridge begins. Recognize it, walk it, trust it, and let it carry you to what has always been yours. Because the bridge has already begun. If something cracked open inside you while watching this, if you felt even one moment where the truth hit so hard it silenced your doubt, I want you to drop a comment below and write this: I'm done with the old. I choose my new self, fully. Let it be your declaration. Let it be your shift in writing. Because the moment you speak it, everything begins to move. And if you're really walking this bridge now, I want to know. I want to read your words. Don't hold it in. Say it out loud in the comments and watch what unfolds. I will meet you with another golden nugget. Happy manifesting.